This is it, the final stage, the Spidey Invitational BJJ Championship. Less than a minute on the clock, and one of these guys is about to be crowned the best in the world. Our boy in the white GI has his opponent locked down, looking like an absolute sure thing. He's got that look in his eye, the cold, calculated focus of a champion. A 5-point lead with only 15 seconds left? Yeah, this match is already in the bag. But his opponent makes a last-ditch explosive move that nobody saw coming. And just like that, the tables are turned. Our guy gets slammed to the mat, completely caught off guard. His rival locks in a grip so tight it could crush diamonds, and suddenly, victory is slipping away. 10 seconds. He just has to survive for 10 agonizing seconds. His lifelong dream is turning into a nightmare right before his very eyes. But with sheer, unbreakable will, he survives the hold and snatches the win right at the buzzer. The crowd goes wild. Our boy is officially the world champion, the king of the mat. But look at his face. That's not the look of a winner. That's the look of a man who just saw a ghost. He's standing on top of the world, holding the gold, but his mind is clearly a million miles away. Flash forward, and the world champ is an excavator operator? What happened to the fame and glory? And his coworker isn't just some random guy. He's his brother-in-law, and he's not taking no for an answer. Our guy tries to weasel out of it, promising to pay in about 12 years. Smooth. And then, the truth hits us like a ton of bricks. His dream shattered the exact moment it came true. So he ends up getting that drink, trying to drown a memory that just won't die. He opens up just a little, revealing the weight he's been carrying ever since that fateful day. He drops a bombshell. Being a world champion was a broke, miserable nightmare. Turns out the fallen champ has been quietly building a better life for his family all along. A simple promise between brothers-in-law, that's definitely not going to come back to haunt him, right? To the world, he's a washed-up fighter, but he's about to reveal his one true secret. And there it is, the one thing worth more than any gold medal, a family that adores him. He claims he's found perfect happiness, a life he'd choose over and over again. Even playtime is a callback to the mat, but this time, tapping out is the sweetest victory. He's finally found a fight he's happy to lose. Tucked in with his family, he makes a quiet wish for this peace to last. But in a story like this, happily ever after is just the moment before everything goes wrong. And just like that, his perfect world blurs into a terrifying new reality. His daughter's screams are his new alarm clock, but they're not in their bedroom anymore. He thinks it's just another morning, completely oblivious to the danger his daughter can already see. Because playtime is officially over, and a monster has crashed the party. In a split second, the dad is gone, the world champion is back, and he's not letting go of his family. No mat, no rules, just a splintered piece of wood and a father's rage. He shields his daughter with one hand, and shoves a nightmare back with the other. And with one brutal, decisive move, he ends the immediate threat. But then a horrifying vision hits him. Is he looking at the monster or at himself? The reflection doesn't lie. The creature he just destroyed might be exactly what he's becoming. He's not just fighting a monster. He's staring at his own twisted future in the shattered glass. And in that horrifying reflection, the line between man and beast completely disappears. But there's no time for an identity crisis when another nightmare comes crashing through the wall. He gets slammed with a move straight out of his own playbook, only this takedown is meant to break more than just his spirit. Pinned and helpless, the former king of the mat is now just fighting to survive the next second. This thing doesn't feel pain, it doesn't get tired, and it's got a grip that's crushing his will to fight. He goes for a chokehold, but then comes the terrifying realization, you can't choke out something that might not even need to breathe. So he taps into that champion's instinct and reverses the hold with one last explosive surge of adrenaline. The dust settles, leaving two threats neutralized, but the silence that follows is absolutely deafening. And the first question that runs through his mind isn't, are we safe? It's, did I just become one of them? The monster goes down for the count, but that sound isn't the sound of victory. And in a heart-stopping moment of dread, he realizes the fight isn't over. He tries to comfort his daughter, but she's the one telling him to be quiet, and he has no idea why. The real horror sets in when he realizes they're not in their home. They're in a deserted department store. And the final, terrifying piece of the puzzle, his memory of the last few hours is completely wiped. But his subconscious is screaming, showing him a sea of monsters he's apparently already fought through. No time to think, only time to run. He grabs his daughter and makes a break for it. Because it wasn't just one or two monsters, it's the whole damn mall. That champion's fire is back in his eyes, fueled by pure, unfiltered rage. He spots an exit, a single door to freedom. only to find it's already got a doorman from hell. So much for the easy way out. He pivots on a dime and dives deeper into the nightmare. He slams the door shut just in time, leaving a little souvenir from their unwanted guest. A couch isn't much of a barricade, but right now it's the only thing between his family and the horrors outside. And just when he thinks they've caught a break, a scream from upstairs shatters the silence. But it's not another monster, it's a soldier. Finally, a sign of hope in this apocalypse. His daughter, however, isn't relieved. She's terrified, sensing a danger her father can't see yet. Yeah, take a good look at this guy. That's not the face of a hero, that's the face of your next big problem. The soldier then delivers the friendly neighborhood apocalypse update. 80% of the world has already joined the monster mash. Our hero asks to call his wife, but the soldier's answer is a little too convenient, making his paranoia spike. The soldier backpedals with a flimsy excuse, but that shifty look in his eyes says it all. This guy is hiding something. The soldier's answer is a little too sweet, and our hero's gut is telling him this is all a lie. Their only way out is the rooftop, but the soldier's confidence about just using guns is setting off every alarm bell. And then comes the classic move. The soldier plays the victim, asking our guy to walk right into the trap. He tries to calm his daughter, but she sees right through the act. Kids always know a monster when they see one. He takes a cautious peek through the door, bracing himself for whatever fresh hell is waiting. And it's not a rescue party on the roof. It's a welcome committee from your worst nightmares. This wasn't a rescue mission, it was a delivery service, and they're the main course. Before he can even process the ambush, a sharp pain rips through his side. The attack came from behind him. And there's the face of the man who just signed his own death warrant. The soldier just learned a valuable lesson. You never, ever stand between a champion and his family. The soldier just made a fatal mistake. He brought a gun to a BJJ match. And that's the face of a man who just realized he's not the predator in this room. In one fluid motion, he disarms the soldier, rips his dog tags off, and prepares to return the favor. With one swift, brutal strike, the soldier's betrayal gets a very personal response. But the soldier managed to get a shot off, riddling him with pellets that would take down any normal man. But it's his daughter's cry that truly hits him, a sound far more painful than any wound. The impact sends him staggering backward, right over the ledge and into the heart of the horde below. But instead of attacking, the lead creature leans in and drops a world-shattering secret. The kids are immune. And in this new world, immune doesn't mean safe. It means you're a priceless commodity. The soldier proves his point by holding the ultimate prize, confirming that the real monsters were the humans all along. The truth hits him harder than any punch. His daughter is now the world's most wanted prize. And in a flash, he remembers the last time he lost everything. He's back at that door, the one that separated him from his wife forever. He was so close, desperately trying to get through, but the horde was closer. His screams are drowned out as he's dragged away, failing the one person he swore to protect. This is the memory that broke him, the moment he was swallowed by the darkness, piled on, suffocated, and left for dead right at the threshold of his biggest failure. He gave up, accepting his fate at the bottom of the pile. But then, a strange thing happens. One of the monsters reaches for him, not with rage, but with something else entirely. And that single bizarre memory reignites the champion's fire, turning despair into pure, unadulterated rage. He's not just angry anymore. He's evolving, and that look in his eye is anything but human. And with that rage comes speed the human eye can't even track, turning him into a living weapon. The entire rooftop horde, they're not a problem anymore. He stands on the edge, not to jump, but to send a message. The hunt is on. Down below, the kidnapper realizes he didn't just escape a man, he unleashed a demon. He's half man, half monster, and 100% focused on one thing, getting his daughter back. Oh, great. The kidnapper has friends, and they've got an escape vehicle waiting. But through all that power and rage, the father inside him has only one thought. The soldier looks up in terror, about to witness something that defies all logic. Because a little thing like a 10-story drop isn't going to stop him now. The goons on the ground can't believe their eyes, mistaking the falling angel of death for just another infected. The kidnapper scoffs, thinking he just witnessed the first ever monster suicide. Oh, you sweet summer child. But this isn't a fall. It's a targeted missile strike with a human face. And he makes a 3-point landing that would make Iron Man jealous, cracking the very pavement beneath him. That landing wasn't just for show. It came with a complimentary car explosion just to set the mood. The kidnapper tries to play it cool, but that look on his face says he's starting to regret all his life choices. And out of the dust he comes, a blur of pure rage moving so fast he's practically breaking the sound barrier. Mr. Tough Guy is now screaming for his life, begging his buddies to throw him to safety. His brilliant solution? Unleash a hail of bullets so recklessly that even his own partner is screaming in terror. But you can't hit what you can't see, and right now he's moving faster than the bullets themselves. He's moving so fast the kidnapper's biggest fear isn't the monster. It's his own partner's terrible aim. The boss finally gets tired of the incompetence and decides to let a real marksman take the shot. But bullets are just a minor inconvenience when you're fueled by this much rage. And that's the moment they realize, this isn't just another infected, this is something entirely new. Yeah, you haven't seen anything like this, buddy, because you just kidnapped the daughter of the Apocalypse's main character. While the dad is shrugging off bullets, the kidnappers can't even handle one very angry little girl. Plan A failed, Plan B failed, so they jump straight to Plan G for grenade. But he doesn't even flinch. He looks at that grenade like it's a training exercise he's about to ace. The soldiers go for the kill shot, unleashing a blast that should have turned him into dust. And his daughter's scream is the only answer they get, a sound that promises nothing but pain and regret. The kidnappers make their getaway, but hold on, is that another monster riding shotgun with them? The blast leaves him broken on the pavement, his daughter's name the only thing left on his lips. He's reliving his worst nightmare, believing he's lost the only thing that mattered. But as the horde closes in, a mysterious figure in overalls walks through them like they're not even there. And then one of the monsters does something impossible. It reaches for his phone. That's when a memory cuts through the pain, a voice he'd die to protect. A forgotten promise to his daughter becomes the one thing that can pull him back from the brink. And just like that, the man is gone. And the monster fueled by a father's promise is back online. He clutches the dog tags, a physical reminder of the man who is going to pay for this. But when he finally looks up, he's not alone, and his new companion has a very simple question. And the monster's first words aren't a threat, but a shocking explanation. He saved him because the humans were the real animals. This thing tells him he's safe, but that smile looks like it was stitched on in a nightmare. And his grand plan for surviving the apocalypse? A nice, quiet afternoon of fishing. Seriously, but our hero isn't here for a therapy session. He's here for answers, and he's not asking nicely. He tosses the old man like a sack of potatoes, completely ignoring his bizarre pleas about missing a human body. The old monster is left completely stunned, having no idea he just invited a world champion to a grappling match. But his pleas are cut short as our guy prepares to introduce him to a little move called pain. He locks in an armbar with terrifying precision, and suddenly the monster learns what it feels like to tap out. With his daughter gone, all that's left is pure rage, and he unleashes every last bit of it on his new friend. But then he freezes, hit with a realization that shatters his entire worldview. This monster can talk. It's not just that the monster can talk, it's that our hero can suddenly understand every single terrifying word. And the first question from the talking monster isn't a threat, it's a pop quiz about his past life. No time for an existential crisis. He's got a military base to find and a kidnapper to introduce to the pavement. He apologizes for the armbar, only to learn a horrifying fact. Unlike him, these monsters don't heal. They just stay broken forever. A walking, talking monument to the last pain they ever felt. And then the old man drops the real bombshell. Our guy is the only one of their kind who remembers being human. He looks at his reflection and finally accepts the truth. He's not a man anymore. He's something else entirely. The old monster basically calls him the final boss of the apocalypse, reminding him that his daughter is still out there waiting. He has one simple request. Send him after them because this hunt is far from over. But the old man has one last question that cuts right to the bone. What exactly is he now? The old man hits him with a zinger. It's not what he is that's the problem. It's that he still has a human heart. And then he drops some monster philosophy. Turns out they have a code, and taking out their own kind is a big no-no. He basically calls our guy a human in a monster's body, then gets mad about him almost stepping on his fishing gear. Priorities, right? But our boy isn't here for a lecture series. He's got one question and one question only. Where's the exit? So the old monster lays his cards on the table with the worst offer in history. Just forget your daughter and join the club. And the answer comes back so cold it could freeze hell over. I cannot do that. The old man warns him that his love for his daughter is now officially a threat to their entire twisted little society. And just like that, the therapy session is over, and the old monster sentences him to his end. Done with the conversation, our hero decides to make his own way out, diving headfirst into the abyss. Leaving the old monster completely speechless, probably wondering if he just made the biggest mistake of his unlife. He lands in a pit of monsters, and their reaction isn't to attack, it's to stare in absolute shock. He doesn't wait for an invitation, immediately reminding the welcome wagon who's really in charge here. Then he rips something dark and volatile from his own chest, proving he's not just a monster, he's a living power source. The entire horde freezes, realizing the thing that just fell from the sky is way above their pay grade. Yeah, that's the look of a creature that just saw the new apex predator and is rethinking its entire unlife. And just like that, the monsters part like the Red Sea, clearing a path for their new king. He walks right up to the old man, who's still pretending this is just a casual Tuesday fishing trip. But the old monster just laughs like he's been waiting for this exact moment. Our guy cuts right through the act with a simple promise, talk or the other arm is next. And the old man drops some cryptic wisdom, warning him that rushing will only lead to failure. He's done asking nicely, and the old monster is finally learning some respect. The old man warns him that a direct trip to the military base is a one-way ticket to oblivion. Because the base is guarded by something so dangerous, even the other monsters are gossiping about it in fear. And when he says dangerous, he means a synchronized swimming team from your worst nightmares. But the performance ends abruptly when one of the dancers launches an attack straight for his head. He shuts that down with zero effort, but the old man swears it was all just a deadly misunderstanding. The old guy panics, revealing a crucial detail. Not all monsters are created equal, and some are just mindless beasts. He breaks it down. You've got the thinkers, the followers, and the super-powered ones like our guy. And then you've got the fourth kind, the ones driven by nothing but pure, mindless hunger. The old man's theory? Our hero still smells too human, making him a 5-star meal on legs for the mindless ones. The old man uses his own busted arm as a resume, begging our guy to trust his safer route strategy. But our hero doesn't care about a safer route. He's on the express train to payback, and there are no stops. He makes a chilling promise. Anyone who gets in his way is getting permanently disassembled. The old man's grand plan? Hide in plain sight by joining the monster parade. So he points to his new guide with a one-word command that is both terrifying and hilarious. Strip. And with that look in his eye, he's officially clocked out of being human and clocked in for overtime as a nightmare. Turns out the safer route has a bouncer, a giant gorilla monster snacking on a bucket of spare parts. Now dressed for the occasion, he steps into the tunnel to have a little chat with the welcoming committee. His guide whispers the understatement of the century. There's a very dangerous creature up ahead. And that low growl isn't a friendly hello, it's monster speak for, this is my territory and you're trespassing. The bouncer gives him one last chance to walk away, a courtesy our hero is about to decline with extreme prejudice. And his answer is to turn the bouncer into a furry cannonball, because no was never an option. So the safer route isn't a tunnel, it's the VIP entrance to the Apocalypse's hottest new nightclub. And inside, it's a full-blown monster mash, where the only thing on the menu is a good time. Forget survival, these guys have a dance crew and they're absolutely killing it on the floor. And some of the locals are getting a little too friendly, proving that even in the apocalypse, the club scene is still awkward. But the party gets crashed by the bouncer he just tossed. And this time, he's not asking nicely. He clears the dance floor in the most literal way possible, and suddenly everyone's night is ruined. The bouncer lands a hit that would level a building, but our boy just grits his teeth ready for round 2. But as the bouncer goes for the finish, our hero recognizes the move. He's not fighting a monster, he's fighting a fellow martial artist. He's pulling his entire strategy from a random internet blog post because, of course he is. He tries to follow the diagram, baiting the monster into a classic BJJ setup. And now for the grand finale, the signature move that made him a champion. Except this time, the champion's deadliest weapon isn't working at all. The bouncer turns the tables, slamming him into the ground and shattering his game plan. Down and dazed, it looks like the champ is finally about to be retired for good. But then he remembers the old monster's words. Unlike him, these things don't regenerate. The gorilla moves in for the final blow, completely unaware that the rules of the fight just changed. Because our hero just realized something, this monster has a weakness that he can exploit. And he's about to give this bouncer a permanent injury that no amount of rage is ever going to heal. He's not just breaking the hold, he's permanently rearranging the bouncer's anatomy. And just like that, the monster's arm hits the floor, and the old man realizes he's traveling with the Apocalypse's final boss. That's the sound of a creature learning a very painful lesson. Our guy doesn't play by the rules, not even monster rules. He catches his breath, but that red eye is still burning, a clear sign that he's just getting warmed up. The entire club falls silent, and the former bouncer can only kneel before the new king. He gives the bouncer one last chance to bow out, but his patience is wearing dangerously thin. And that look in his eye isn't a threat, it's a promise written in pure, unadulterated rage. But instead of another fight, the bouncer's crew shows up, and they start bowing to him. The big guy scoops up his crew, not to attack, but to pledge their undying loyalty to their new, terrifying leader. And our hero is left completely speechless, realizing he just became the leader of a monster gang by accident. He leaves his new fan club in the dust, because there's no time for autographs on a revenge tour. All that rage melts away into a single ice-cold objective: find his daughter no matter what. He scopes out the military base, and that champion's mind is already mapping out the perfect infiltration. But why climb a fence when you can just use your new monster minions as a projectile? Step 1. Create a very loud, very fleshy distraction by tossing your buddy over the barbed wire. Step 2. Use your friends as a literal stepping stone to vault into enemy territory. Now that's what I call a support system. He's in, and the first guard on duty is about to have the worst day of his very short career. He's not here for a fight, he's here for a name, and his grip says he's not asking twice. The soldier tries to get a shot off, but our guy has already done the math. That gun is completely useless. So he turns the guard into his own personal turret, creating the perfect bullet-riddled diversion. The soldier's threats are just background noise to a man who's already decided his fate. Because this isn't about revenge anymore. It's about the people he's fighting to get back to. First, his daughter, the one light in all this darkness. And then his wife. Wait, his wife? Is he fighting for a memory or for a miracle? But his trip down memory lane is cut short by the entire base showing up to the party he just crashed. He's not looking at the soldiers. He's locked onto the one man who needs to pay. And the soldiers realize they didn't corner a man. They just volunteered to be speed bumps. He moves through the soldiers like a ghost, a blur of motion they can't even track. And he delivers a takedown so brutal, it probably registered on the Richter scale. And just like that, he's face to face with the man who started it all, and payback is finally on the menu. His demand is simple, his voice is ice, and that red eye says he's not asking again. This isn't about the apocalypse anymore. This is about a father trying to save his little girl. Surrounded and outnumbered, and he's still the one screaming the questions. The soldier's response is to put a gun to his head, but he doesn't even flinch. And then the base commander steps in, acting like he's just stumbled upon a minor disagreement. Our guy lays it out plain and simple. He's just here to collect the trash who took his daughter. Even with a gun to his head, his mission is the only thing that matters. But the commander's not looking at the kidnapper. He's looking at our hero and asking the one question that changes everything. It's the same question the monsters asked, and he still doesn't have an answer. He tries to plead his case, but the commander isn't buying a single word of his story. He drops the bombshell that his daughter wasn't just kidnapped, she was going to be sold to the highest bidder. The commander plays dumb, but that look says he knows exactly what's going on. He even offers up the proof he ripped right off the kidnapper's neck, daring them to call his bluff. The kidnapper starts screaming, trying to paint our guy as the villain, but his panic is telling a very different story. And just when things couldn't get more tense, the soldiers realize their guns have mysteriously stopped working. Even the commander's rifle is dead in his hands, and suddenly, the power dynamic in this standoff completely shifts. The commander calls out his own soldiers' incompetence, proving he's the only one here with a single brain cell. But their little standoff is interrupted by a new report, and you can just feel the entire story is about to pivot. A soldier confirms it. The kidnapper did bring a little girl in a pink sweatshirt back from the mall. And that's all the proof he needs. The last bit of his humanity ignites into pure, focused rage. The kidnapper's buddies try to sell a story about him being a good Samaritan, and our hero is about to return the favor. He screams the one fact they seem to have forgotten. He's her dad, and he's done being polite. But this soldier isn't part of the cover-up. He's dropping breadcrumbs, telling him exactly who the kidnapper went to meet. The kidnapper starts screaming for his men to open fire because his brilliant plan is officially falling apart. And our hero calmly informs the kidnapper that his life subscription has just been canceled. The commander tries to play good cop, telling him his little outburst is only hurting his daughter's chances. He hates to admit it, but the commander's terrible acting just made the entire conspiracy crystal clear. The commander calls out the entire squad, and suddenly we're about to find out who's a witness and who's an accomplice. And the first soldier to talk confirms everything. blowing a hole the size of a tank in the kidnapper's story. The commander plays dumb about the lack of a report, while the soldier explains the kidnapper's excuse was to avoid complications. Yeah, right. And the plot thickens. Turns out our kidnapper has a habit of going off the books. The kidnapper starts screaming about preemptive action, which is military speak for "I'm busted and I know it." But the commander shuts him down cold, because protocol is a word this guy has clearly never read. The kidnapper's friends try to shift the blame, but our hero isn't here for a debate. So he delivers a very personal, nonverbal counter-argument right to the guy's face. And just like that, one of the accomplices gets a free high-speed trip to the pavement. He's not even winded, and that red eye is already scanning for the next person who needs to be retired. Cut to the locker room, where the commander is admiring the impressive lack of damage. He's completely unscathed, and the commander is starting to realize he's not dealing with a normal man. The commander calls it a routine check for bites, but it's really a test to see if he's a man, a monster, or something else entirely. The commander sends him a little gift, an eye patch to hide the monster, with a side of backhanded compliments. The soldier basically tells him he's a walking target, and frankly, he's shocked our guy hasn't been put down already. They tell him to wait for a military trial, but the soldier's already connecting the dots between our hero and the monsters. But our guy couldn't care less about their procedures. His mind is locked on one thing and one thing only: getting his daughter back. And just as he's about to demand answers, the entire building is rocked by an explosion from outside. The base is officially under attack, and whatever's out there is making the soldiers panic. And the attacker isn't a monster, it's the kidnapper, Sergeant Lee, and he's decided to skip his trial and start his own. Yep, the key witness just woke up, stole a vehicle, and is currently redecorating the base with it. And by redecorating, I mean he's driving a military jeep straight through the compound like he's trying to win a demolition derby. Done waiting for permission, our hero makes his own exit, because the only person getting answers today is him. Sergeant Lee's escape plan is basically to drive through anything that looks like a wall. But our hero is already on his heels, moving with a speed that says, "I don't need a car." He's not just chasing a kidnapper, he's running from the memory of his greatest failure. And this time, failure is absolutely not an option. A soldier tries to stop him with a "please stay here," but our guy's response is to just run right past him. So he just hijacks the pursuit vehicle, turning this solo mission into a very reluctant buddy cop movie. The soldier complains he's slowing them down, but our hero's logic is simple. 2 people on a bike is still faster than 1 guy on foot. And just when you think things can't get more chaotic, the commander radios in to ask who just stole his soldier. The poor private has to report that he's currently giving a piggyback ride to the base's most wanted man. The commander promises backup, but after everything we've seen, that sounds less like a rescue and more like a trap. And just as they're making their escape, the commander's voice cuts through the static, but the message is getting a little scrambled. The only words that come through are capture and priority, turning this rescue mission into a manhunt where our guy is the target. But our hero just says, "Understood," because he's not running from them, he's running at the real problem. The chase is on, and they're closing the gap on the kidnapper's getaway vehicle. He tells his new chauffeur to grab the rifle and take the shot, turning this poor private into an unwilling action hero. With the soldier aiming, our guy's red eye flares, like he's guiding the bullet with sheer force of will. The soldier takes a couple of pot shots, but his aim is about as good as his decision to give a monster a ride. He promises he's just warming up, but our hero's face says they're running out of time for practice shots. And just like that, their high-speed chase comes to a screeching, metal-grinding halt. But the soldier lands like a pro, rifle in hand, and suddenly this reluctant sidekick is looking a lot more competent. The soldier's still making excuses for his aim, but our guy has a better idea. So he lets the private take the shot, and for a second you almost think this might work. And it's a direct hit, on the spare tire. Well, it's a start. With their target pulling away, our hero decides he's done being a passenger. He takes control, and suddenly this motorcycle is moving with a purpose that is anything but human. The soldier feels a chill as he realizes the man behind him isn't just steering, he's aiming. But the kidnapper has one last surprise, and it's got a 3-second fuse. The soldier panics, but our hero's eye is locked on, calculating a shot that shouldn't be possible. And then it happens. The bullet finds the grenade midair and a shot straight out of an action movie. The kidnapper's brilliant escape plan just went up in a cloud of smoke and regret. The explosion sends them both flying, but our hero isn't falling. He's launching. He sticks the landing without a scratch, only to find the kidnapper wasn't working alone. He's got a whole welcoming party. The soldier does a quick head count and realizes he's outnumbered, outgunned, and completely out of his league. He starts running through his options, but his biggest worry isn't the goons. It's whether our hero even survived that blast. So he makes the smart call. Wait for them to leave and then get the hell out of there. He waits for his moment, ready to disappear into the shadows and live to fight another day. But just as he's about to make his escape, he remembers one tiny, very important detail he overlooked. In his focus on the soldiers, he forgot that a massive explosion in the middle of the apocalypse is basically a dinner bell, and the entire neighborhood just showed up, hungry for the main course. Yeah, he didn't just crash a military chase, he just started an all-you-can-eat buffet for the infected.